This is a kickoff for a series on. I didn't really know what to call it because not everyone's an emotional eater, but really learning about your relationship with food and how it impacts how you treat yourself, not just your body, but like your all parts of your life. So that's why I said, I don't know if you saw, but even if you have a quote unquote good relationship with food and you don't feel concerns in this area, it is still going to be good because this is about the whole person. And I want you to recognize that even if you're like, it wasn't my top choice, it still will be helpful, I promise. And I'm going to be going along this journey with you guys. So, I'm excited about this. So I'm going to be talking for a little bit, and then there'll be a little bit at the end. I'm going to have some discussion questions that you will, or I should say, not necessarily discussion questions, but journal questions. So if you have a notebook handy, have it. And then it'll be like this week's assignment, quote unquote assignment, for you to kind of reflect on for yourself. But what I want everyone to recognize, although this is a journey that very well could help you shed unwanted weight or, kind of get you a little bit better physically in the space you want to be. This isn't like a quick fix kind of thing. This is really something we're focusing on the internal pieces of ourselves. That's just, icing on the cake. If, our bodies feel better, we're sleeping better, we're having better digestion, maybe we shed some weight, which you probably will if you really follow the process. It's really about the whole person, which we've been doing all along, but this incorporates some other pieces of it. And the first thing I want you to recognize and think about is you might have an idea in your mind what you want to accomplish for yourself. I really want you to acknowledge it, but then kind of let go of an expectation of what you want for yourself. I'm always one that says, have an idea of what you want so that you can visualize it and see it. But in this situation, yes, acknowledge it, have an idea, but then we're going to let it go a little bit because you're going to kind of let things naturally go where they're going to go and trust the process. And that we want this to be kind of over the next couple of months where we're just totally enjoying the journey and in the moment and enjoying the process of what's being uncovered for ourselves. So that's really important that we recognize this is not a goal. We're not reaching towards a goal or anything like that, but that we have, this is a process and we want to enjoy that. So the other thing, I mentioned this, if you had catched any of my Unleash Your Inner Superwoman calls, that I also want to squash the idea that people who struggle with whatever relationship with food issue they have or exercise or whatever, that it's not a willpower thing. When we struggle with eating or not eating or stress eating or not eating right just because you don't want to think about it or you're too busy, whatever, it is not a willpower thing. So I want to squash that. It's not a people are lazy thing. And so we have to let go of any negative thoughts we may have had about ourselves when we beat ourselves up if we fall off the wagon, all right, or whatever you call it. And I am guilty of that as well, where I'll be like, I fell off the wagon, or I'm just going to splurge, whatever, and then I feel like crap, and then I say bad things to myself, and then I start over again, and this really bad cycle, it's really not a great cycle to be in. So want to kind of squash that because what we need to do is let go of any guilt or bad feelings we have about whatever has gone on over the years. And really, quote unquote, forgive ourselves for, not meeting whatever expectation you wanted for yourself in any capacity of your life, truly, not just like with our nutritional life, okay? So that's really important to recognize that, and this is going to be a journey with that. And this is a lot of what we're going to be doing has to do with mindset stuff. So, there will be some things that will be, I don't want to say repeated, but it's emphasized for a reason. And also recognize if you hear something that maybe you've heard before, I want you to think, did I try this before? Sometimes we hear things over and over again, but we never really try it. We don't try it because we've just heard it so many times. It's like, I think about this when I look in my closet and I see the same outfit and I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of this outfit, but have I really worn it? No, I haven't really worn it. I've just seen it in my closet. It's the same kind of thing. Like you may have heard something, but I really want to challenge you to think about the things that you've tried. And so some of the strategies we're trying with our mindset and with how we look at things and how we talk to ourselves and how we respond to what our body's feeling, I want you to be open to it. And recognize that our body and a body is our friend, food is our friend, all of it is good. And also recognize that having a relationship with food is normal and natural. We've had relationship with food from the moment we were born. We were either breastfed or we were bottle fed, but we gained all our satisfaction and happiness and contentment from food when we were born. And so it was an immediate connection from birth. And so we have to let go of whatever bad feelings we've had, if we've had any bad feelings. I'm sure we all have at one point or another associated with that. And it's important that we recognize it's just a biological thing. Okay. Now there's circumstances and life situations that happen along the way that impact it, but it's natural. Okay. So it's important to recognize that. Okay. So the other thing I want to mention is that I want you to notice if you have perfectionistic tendencies. Raise your hand if you have perfectionistic tendencies in any area of your life. Okay. All or nothing tendencies. That's me. I'm perfectionistic in certain areas of my life and not in other areas of my life. So it's really important to notice it. What the problem with perfectionism, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing because we're striving to be better, is that at times when we strive to be perfect and we don't achieve it, we get into this attacking mode, internal attacking mode, where we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, you know, whatever it is. And sometimes it's something we don't recognize we're saying to ourselves. So it's really important to recognize when you get into that perfectionistic mindset in some capacity of your life. Notice what you're saying. I'm not saying stop. I'm just saying notice it and just pay attention to how you are talking to yourself or how you're reacting if you don't reach whatever goal you're trying to reach. Okay, so, but I want you to recognize that perfectionism sometimes can lead to us being like self-deprecating and all those bad things. So that's important. Okay, so let's get started. So one of the journaling exercises, which I will talk about at the very end, the specifics of it, will be really to recognize what your current relationship is with food. And everyone's is a little bit different. But one thing that we need to recognize is that everything, not just relation to food, but every challenge in our life is there to teach us something, to learn from it. And we have, and I know you guys all know that cognitively, but really owning that and recognizing it so that we don't get so hard on ourselves about it. Like things happen in our lives to teach us things. You know, that old adage, like, you know, things happen for a reason. We have to believe that there's a purpose behind it so that we can learn and use it for something positive. So that's really important. And that goes for anything in our lives, not just, you know, dealing with, you know, eating and nutrition and fitness and that whole world of thinking. So you have to be aware and think about what is it teaching you. And I'm going to have some specific guided questions about that, but just recognize that. So the first thing I really want to talk about is how we communicate to ourselves, what we're really saying. I know we've covered self-limiting beliefs, and it's going to be kind of under that umbrella a little bit, but really being vigilant about some of the negative things we say when we maybe engage in something we're not super excited about, Like, you know, we're stressed out and we came home and we gorged on some chips and salsa and then had some cookies, and then afterward you feel crappy, you know, or something along those lines. But that's just an example. Okay. Oh boy, I hear baby be yelling for me. And I hear little footsteps. What do you need, buddy? Okay. I'm going to apologize in advance if he needs to come in here. The olders are out there with him, but you never know. So, and one thing we need to recognize and understand is that we are here to improve ourselves in all capacities of life. Our goal is to fulfill whatever, Lori, sorry, Lori messaged me, her dog ate her earbud and she couldn't hear anything, so she popped off. Our goal is to truly understand that we have a bigger purpose in this world, and that we absolutely have to let go of the self-limiting belief that we are, that there's something less than that. Okay, each of us have a purpose, and a power and a person we are meant to be, and to really understand that, really embrace that. I know that's kind of like a big thing, but it's kind of, you know, like I say, step into that woman. This is really about stepping into and understanding you have a purpose. That woman is you, but recognizing that there's a ton of power in us that is untapped. So that is kind of the bigger overarching thing that we need to fully embrace. And it's empowering once you really get to that place. But as we go along this, it doesn't mean that all our issues or things, and this goes with anything in the life coaching, it doesn't mean everything goes away. It's just we're going through a process of healing and a process of working through, you know, whatever we're working through. I'm not here to fix stuff, because none of us are broken people. We're all fully whole women with lots of talents, lots of great personality qualities, lots of things to offer in the world, but we're all here because we all just want to keep ourselves and make ourselves better people every day, which is an awesome quality. So we have to let go of any kind of thinking like, I need to get this fixed, I need to get over this problem. It is not about that. We got to let go of that. We're just here to learn, embrace, and kind of start like a fresh, like a brand new baby kind of thing. It's kind of the mentality I want to have with this. Okay, so what I want to now talk about a little bit here is, and I'm going to get a little tiny religious on you a little bit. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. That when we get into destructive habits, health habits, or just habits in general, like drinking too much wine sometimes, which is my vice, or internet shopping, or which none of them are bad in moderation, or I don't know, just whatever vice you might have. We have to be really aware of the fact that sometimes, and recognize when you're using it as a way to manage an emotion or cope with something. And sometimes we are going to use those as coping mechanisms, and that's fine. Like, we do sometimes do that. Oh, I'm right here, baby. Why don't you sit on the chair? Oh, he just wanted to be here. Can you turn that down, babe? Hold on. Do you know how to turn it down? He's watching a video on my phone really loud. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, I fixed it. What? I'm fixing it for you. I need to turn it down. There you go. Okay. So what I want you guys to sort of recognize that when we do those things in a negative way, I'm not saying when we do those things in general, but when we are overindulging in an area that we know inside is really bad for us, even if it's like overindulging in food or whatever it might be, that is often a time when we're disconnected from our source, which would be God, our higher power. We're disconnected in a way that's unhealthy. And so getting in touch with that can be powerful. I'm not saying you have to, but it can be powerful to recognize that when we're feeling like we need to gain power or contentment or satisfaction from something that gives us a quick sort of feel good moment, that sometimes it might mean you're disconnected from your higher power, and that's something to think about and consider. And we really need to stay in touch with what our inner, like, what is our purpose? Okay. So I don't have the whole answer for you right now. This is going to be a slow unraveling for you guys. So just bear with me. I have a lot of notes here. Okay. So okay. The other thing that we're going to recognize, that we are here to sort of fully own who we are, recognize we already have everything we need in life. We're already great, amazing women. And that we truly have the right to walk in this world at our highest capacity, that our highest person, being able to give in the world in the way you want to give, the way you want to receive in this world, the way you present yourself on a regular basis, the emotions you experience, all of the things. Okay, so we have the right to have that and really own that. Like, I have the right to feel good about my body. I have the right to feel good about what I'm doing for a living. I have the right to feel good about my relationships with others. And if I feel there's a disconnect in some areas, then you take a look at it. Okay, I'm just going to look at this. And I know you guys already are doing that, but it just gives us a good reminder to look at it. What needs to be tweaked a little bit? You know, sometimes it's, I have the right to be kind to myself. I have the right to not say nasty things to myself when I quote unquote mess up or whatever. Okay. But what we're going to be doing differently is when we do mess up, we're not going to look at it as a mess up anymore. That's going to be the shift in our mindset. We're going to start letting go of the perfectionism with food and nutrition and all of those things, and start thinking of it as part of the journey and embracing different pieces of it. We're also recognizing what it's doing to us and finding other ways to manage different emotions. But with that, sometimes we use food as a way to cope with things, and it's normal, natural, it's part of our biology. So it's okay. Well, it's not the only way that we manage things. We don't want it to be the sole purpose and the reason that we are the sole way of coping with stuff. So that's the big thing that we need to understand. It's a piece of it, like this big of a piece, not the whole pie. Okay. All right. And recognize, the other thing is to recognize that hating our bodies in any way, and I'm definitely way better than I was when I was 16, 17, but hating our bodies is not living to our full potential. And our full potential is not being a skinny person. It's not being the most fit person in the world. It's embracing who we are and understanding, like, that I have amazing qualities, and maybe the person you think you should be is not really the person you should be. So if you've always had this goal of, I should look like this, when in reality, maybe you shouldn't look like that, and embrace what could happen instead. Okay. And when you let go of that, it becomes easier to do the things that work for you. And recognize that if you think you have things to fix, you're going to start attracting people in your life that, you want to fix or want to fix you. Okay, you don't want that in your life. You want people that elevate you, that motivate you, that inspire you, and you do the same for them. Okay, that's what we want in life, right? We're almost getting to the journaling stuff. I'll be done yapping at you, but I want to share all the notes that I've got here. Our goal is to have an abundant level of energy and inspiration, and we cannot tap into that if we have those negative self-limiting beliefs, if we have kind of that even subconscious thought patterns that happen when we are unhappy with something, or something didn't go right at work, or if you got in a fight with a friend or a spouse or partner, we have to, in any situations, just recognize, notice, be humble, and keep our head held high at all times. Okay. And eating junk food and eating crap, that is not living at your greatest potential. Sometimes it is, though, but not all the time. Sometimes it's okay. But really think of your body as a metaphor for the rest of your life. You know, this is, you want to be the greatest person you want to be. You guys are all working on that, obviously. And so we need to replicate that with how we treat our bodies with respect. And so we're really going to start working with that language piece. That's going to be kind of like our first thing that we're going to tackle, because that language, how we talk to ourselves, what we say, generally is what comes out or what happens and with the behavior. So an example would be if you say, I am an overeater. I'm just throwing that as an example. Recognize you are not a behavior. Okay? You are not an overeater. You are a person who occasionally overeats. Okay? We have to stop calling ourselves names or identifying yourself as someone who, or as something. Okay? Or I am an emotional eater. I've said that before. Now I'm learning I can't say that. I now can say, occasionally I will emotionally eat, okay, when I'm upset or anxious. But I am not an emotional eater. That does not define who I am. So I'm going to challenge you about your language there a little bit. And often what people are saying are not always accurate. I mean, you've probably seen people who are thin and fit and say, oh, I need to lose 15 pounds. And you're like, what? You don't need to lose 10 or 15 pounds. You look amazing. People's perceptions in their minds are not always accurate. And that's the same for all of us on this call and who are listening in. We need to recognize that not always, your perceptions aren't always accurate. Okay, so that's part of that thought process that we need to really think about, and I challenge you. Okay, so hold on, I'm just kind of reviewing over the other notes, make sure I don't repeat myself. Last thing I want you to kind of remember as we move forward with this journey is that I want you to sort of wake up each day. I challenge you each morning that you wake up, and you kind of have to envision it as a new opportunity. We're not changing or fixing anything. It's a new opportunity. You're kind of like a blank slate, and be open to what comes with any parts of your day. So I want the stuff that we're working on to spread out to other parts of your day too. I don't want this to just be like, oh, I'm just working on food. No, you're not. This is our whole life. I want you to kind of think of yourself as a blank canvas. I'm just here to learn and to take in. I'm not fixing anything. There's nothing broken in any of you. Okay. All right. So grab your little journal here. Although I will type this in on the group. So if you don't, that's fine. But if you do, that's great too. So I have 3 journaling exercises for you. Take the week. I want you to spend time on it. I am going to be doing it as well. I have written down the questions. I have not answered them for myself yet, but like I said, I want to do this journey along with you so I feel the changes. All right, number 1 is choose an unwanted eating habit or health challenge that you have. What is your top one? It could be fatigue. So when we're talking about food, we're not just talking about way too much, way too little, that kind of thing. It could be fatigue. It could be digestion issues. It might be sleep issues. It might be reflux. It might be obsessing about the scale. It might be obsessing about your macronutrients. And now I guess there's some sort of disorder for that, which is bizarre to me. But anyway, I guess there is something with people who obsess over their macros. It might be emotional eating. It might be binge eating. It might be eating too little when you're stressed. It might be, there's a million things it could be. So take some time and think about what is the area that you probably, if you could just think of it, it pops in your head, you'll know it. It's probably the first thing that comes to your mind. So don't overthink it, but identify it. And I want you to really think about what is the message it is trying to deliver to you. We've talked about this a little bit when we've talked about emotional intelligence. All of our emotions are teaching us something. It's kind of the same thing with the challenges we experience. So it's important to recognize what the challenge is, what is it trying to teach you, okay? So an example would be if you binge eat at night. This is an example. You might be missing nutrients in your day. If you look at your whole day, let's say I've binge ate before in the past, and if I look back in time, I would probably recognize that I probably skipped breakfast. I ate a really light lunch. I was probably low on my proteins. I was probably low on, complex carbohydrates. I probably didn't drink enough water. And then you top off maybe some stress, and then I used food as my coping strategy. And my body was starving for the things, and my mind was starving for the things. So what is that telling me? Oh, I have to rethink what I'm eating during the day. Oh, I'm not providing what I need to. Oh, I probably need to sleep more. Oh, I probably need to take more breaks in the day. That's what it's teaching me. I need to manage my mental health a little bit better during the day if I'm doing that at night. That's an example of really exploring it a little bit. And think about what you can learn, how you can grow. And that's it. Okay, that's number one. I was just kind of reading through it. Okay, second question. So that one's going to take identifying that health challenge is probably easy, but figuring out the message, I want you to spend some time on. Number two, what do you believe needs fixing or is broken? Remember, we talked about already that nothing in you is broken, but I want you to go back into your old self and think about where your mindset was. What are some things that you feel like or felt like in the past that needs to be fixed? What are you trying to fix? What part of you did you, I'm saying did because we know we're going to work past this, feel is inherently broken, that your real life can't begin until it's fixed, okay? So something that you've wanted fixed and have struggled to quote unquote fix it. And then part two of this question is, how can you reframe it? So you can just see this as just a part of your journey and a learning point in your journey. So how can you reframe that fixing? What can you say instead? So that you're not looking at it as a place of feeling like you're a victim of, or that you are a terrible person because, or I will never be happy until, or I'll never have this, abundance in my life until. How can we reframe it a little bit? So what I'm going to be challenging you to do is to identify what that thing is. And then over the next week, if you're able to, or until we meet again on the Zoom call, which will probably be next Tuesday. I haven't identified it for sure yet. Yeah, probably next Tuesday. But go a week without thinking about that fix. Not thinking about fixing that thing, okay? Whatever it is, not resisting that thought, okay? And seeing yourself as a perfectly imperfect person. So you're gonna practice that. I'm fine, I'm perfect the way I am. So we're really working on acceptance right now and mindset before we do anything else. Okay, and number three, we've done this with self-limiting beliefs, but it's still part of this process. So you might review back on, and if you have notes on this, list all the negative statements you tell yourself about your body. Okay, it's not a fun exercise because it kind of puts you in a negative space, but say those negative things, write them down. Mine has always geared around my stomach. And now you're going to flip it and you're going to invent some kind and loving self-compliments. And it might be related to those parts of your body you don't love so much, or maybe you thought you didn't love so much. And find some real true things that you love about it. Like one thing that I've worked on is like, I've had 4 children and I have a great stomach. Like what the heck, why have I been so hard on myself? I have I've had 4 kids. So that's something that I've had to really work on because it's one of those things that I know it's a silly thought. I mean, it's a silly thing in my head. that it's birthed babies. So I feel good about that. And so I've had to really work on that. So over the next week or throughout this journey, I want you to notice when those thoughts creep in your head. So it's going to take a lot of intentional work. That's going to be kind of like the key of what we're doing is intentionally paying attention. And just remind yourself to let go of those thoughts. It can be hard, so it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be times where you have a bad day at work or whatever, and you just go into that negative mindset. And maybe you have a hard time getting out of it, but maybe step one is just noticing that it's happening and recognizing, what do I need to do to take care of myself right now? What do I need right now? Sometimes it's like in the immediate. What do I need to do right now before I start going down that negative thought pattern, or I start doing something that's negative for myself, or I start getting down into a pity hole? What can I do for myself right now to change my mindset to start feeling good? And this is going to help manage your dialogue a little bit. Okay, I'd be after you here for a while. Do you guys have questions? And unmute yourself if you do, or you can put it in the chat. You can always ask in the group. I'm not going to make you guys share anything in this area like I normally make you guys share. But you certainly can. So this is more of like a kickoff call. Obviously, I'm sharing just kind of like the groundwork a little bit here, like setting the stage for where we're going. And so that you know that it's all going to be up here, our mindset. It's all going to be, you know, starting with a fresh mind, that we're going to be open to trying new things. We're going to be open to investigating and learning a little bit more of how our behaviors have been impacted by our thought patterns, and how our behaviors also impact our thought patterns, like the other way around. Did I say it right? I think I did. That they both ways, you know, like I said before with that example of binge eating. Sat and thought about it, sit and think about it. Oh, I wasn't doing X, Y, Z. Oh, I wasn't doing this and this. So we have to think about how it's going to, or what we can learn from it, if that makes sense. Questions, concerns, things you want to add? Well, just like, no, don't put me on the spot. I won't. I don't know who's on the iPhone. Hopefully it's Stacy, because she was having some problems getting on. All right, awesome. So I'll just touch base with you guys, you know, as I normally do. And when I touch base with you, if you have things going on that has nothing to do with what we're discussing in group, that, like, obviously you can still talk to me about those things. It doesn't have to be about the stuff in the group. But I still want you guys to work through some of the stuff anyway. Because one thing to remember is that when life gets hard, that's when it's really important to continue to work on the things you're working on and to focus on the things you're focusing on. There's going to be blips along the way, and that's totally fine. It's just kind of part. Yes, it stays. Okay, good. It's you. I'm glad you got on. Just kind of be graceful about it. Just, you know, not be graceful. Have grace for yourself is what I'm saying. So, and then we'll be good to go. All right, ladies, if you guys don't have any questions or anything like that, I will post the journal questions in the group. And this is obviously going to be recorded, so I'll put it in the group as well. And I'll follow up with you guys later this week to see how you're doing. Again, focus on noticing negative thought patterns over the next week. And then what was the other thing I wanted you to notice? Hold on a second. Notice the negative thought patterns. Gently remind yourself to release those. And over the next week, try to, once you've identified that thing that you sometimes feel like you need to fix, and let go of that as well, okay? Like, give yourself a vacation from, I need to fix my stomach, or I need to do more sit-ups, or I need to do more cardio. Let it go. I'm not saying don't do cardio and stuff. Do the stuff that's good for you, but don't obsess about it is the point. All right. Thanks, ladies, for getting on the call. I'm going to head out. Hopefully the kids are still, you know, alive in the next room. Wish me luck. All right. Have a good night, guys. I'll talk to you soon.